Hi there and welcome back to 355 Code. Today we'll be learning how to make an X shape in our new Karel program. So if you're not familiar with our Karel program, it is a simplified JavaScript that helps you learn how to code in a fun and visual way. And in order to get it set up and learn basic commands, you should probably check out some of our previous videos. Here I'm going to assume that you know the basics. And what we're going to do is we're going to write our code over here on the left. If you downloaded it to your computer, you're going to write it in the JavaScript file that you have. And then over here on the right, we will see a visualization of the code that we write. So today we're going to have Karel make an X. And basically we're going to do that by having Karel place balls down in two diagonals, one going down and then the other way. And if you want to try this challenge first before getting any hints, then you can pause the video now, give it a try, and then turn the video back on, and I will show you how to do it. So pause the video. Okay, welcome back. If you want to see how to create the X with Karel, then you're in the right place. And I hope you tried this yourself. And even if you didn't succeed, at least you tried. And let's kind of break down the problem into several steps. So first of all, we're going to want Karel to put down a ball. Okay, and I'm just going to use the color red. You can use other colors if you want. And then just so you see what that looks like, I'm going to run the code. And you can see Karel put down a red ball. And now I need Karel to move to this spot. Okay, so if I move down, because Karel does not move diagonally. He can only move forward and backwards. Only move forward. And the way I would get to this spot is by moving one forward, turning right, and then moving another one forward. Okay, so let's program that out. So I'm going to write Karel.move. Okay, and then Karel moves one forward. Excellent. And then Karel.turn right. And Karel.move. So let's run that code and see what it looks like. Great, so I got Karel to move over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell him to put another ball. That's red. And you can see that we've already started to make the beginning of our diagonal. But we have a slight problem because Karel is now facing down. So I need Karel to either move down one and then turn left and move right one, or I can turn Karel left. Okay, so Karel.turn left. Okay, and then I'm going to tell him again, Karel.move, and then Karel.turn right, and then Karel.move, and then Karel.put ball. Put ball and put down a red ball. Okay, so I'm going to run the code now. Let's see what happens. Great, so we can see that Karel is moving in a diagonal. And you'll see that our code is starting to get a little repetitive. So for example, if I was going to just copy this part of the code, okay, and just copy it again and again, then you can see that when I run the code, basically Karel is going in a diagonal. And if you watched our previous videos, then you're familiar with the dry concept. Don't repeat yourself. Okay, so we want to write code that's efficient. We don't want 1,000 lines of code. We want as few lines as possible. And one way that we can get around this is by using a for loop. So we just need to identify the part of the code that we're doing again and again and again, which is this part. Okay, and then I'm going to put it into a for loop. So I'm going to say, okay, so we want Karel to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so for, I'm going to start let I equals 0. And I have another video that explains about how to use for loops in Karel and in general in JavaScript. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about now, you're going to want to check that out. And as long as I is smaller than 9, I++, that means basically add 1 to I each time. And then I'm going to put this inside of the for loop. Okay, and I'm going to erase all of this code here. Okay, and now I'm going to run the code again. And you can see that Karel goes in a diagonal. But I hit a wall. Okay, so I guess I ran this 1 too many times. So let's change this to 8. And I'm going to run that again. There we go. Okay, so now I just created 1 line out of our X. Okay, and we can possibly make this code more efficient by changing the order, and maybe we can use less lines of code. But I'm not going to focus on that right now. I'm going to let you think about that. And the next stage is going to be to make Karel move to where we're going to start the second diagonal. So this would be a good chance to stop the video and try and rethink the problem if you got stuck before, and continue solving it yourself. And if not, you can continue with me. So either you just pause the video or you didn't, and I'm going to continue explaining how to make Karel move to the starting point for the second diagonal. So basically we can start the second point of the diagonal either from here or here. I'm just going to start it from over here on the bottom. And in order to do that, I'm going to have Karel first turn. And he needs to turn right. Okay. And then we want Karel to just move. Okay, we don't need to put down any walls. So if I run the code now, you'll see, okay, so Karel's putting down that diagonal and then turns and moves 1 over there. Okay, and basically I want him to move to this point over here. So using what we learned before, I can create another for loop. Okay, so let I equals 0. And then as long as I is smaller than 9, I++, and then in here we will have move. Okay, and now if I, let's format that and run the code. Excellent. So we got Karel to move to the beginning point. Okay, and now what we need to do is we need to put down a ball. Okay, and we'll put down a red ball. And then we need to get Karel to move over here. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to have Karel turn right. Okay, and then Karel will be facing up. Then we'll have Karel.move. Okay, and you can see already that it's pretty similar to what I have up here. Okay, so what I can do is I can actually just copy this code over and put it right over here. And let's see if that gives us the same result of moving in a diagonal. So let's go, Karel's going down and goes across, and then, I hit a wall. Okay, so where did I make a mistake? Okay, here. I have move before turn right. So this should be move, this should be turn right. That's what happens sometimes when you copy and paste code. But I prefer learning this way by dealing with bugs and figuring it out. So turn right, move, and then Karel.turn right, and then Karel.move, and then Karel.put down ball. So let's try that again. Excellent. Okay, so we have Karel kind of facing in the right direction. And then we're going to want to, again, turn left, move, and then turn right, move, etc. So let's try copying this for loop that we have up here and putting it over here. Okay, and then running our code again. And let's see what happens. Up, and we have Karel going back up, and basically we created our X. So if you got this far, then great job. And now what I want to do is I want to make our code even more efficient, okay? So because we said don't repeat yourself, right? So one way that we can avoid repeating ourselves is by using functions, okay? So before we start writing our code, I'm going to create a function for this code because we've repeated it twice, okay? And then when we use this function, it will basically do the same thing. So let's say, let's call this make diagonal, okay? And this function will basically just create this, we'll run this for loop, okay? And then here, instead of the for loop, I just need to say make diagonal, okay? And the same is true over here. Okay, so look how much shorter we made our code. And I'm just going to format that. And I'm going to run the code just so you see that it basically doesn't change anything. Okay. Okay, so let's try and make our code even more efficient. So I see that we're repeating here a lot, move, and then turn right. Okay, so I'm going to turn that into another function. I'm going to call it move right. Okay, and that function will just be Karel.move. Sorry, I think I copied the wrong thing. That'll be Karel.move and then Karel.turnRight. Okay, and then anywhere that we were going to do that, so that's over here, I'm just going to say Karel, I'm just going to say move right. Okay, and then let's see if we have anywhere else where Karel is moving and then turning right. So we have it over here. Okay, and we have it over here. Okay, and you can see that I'm just cutting down on the lines of code that we have. Okay, another common thing that we have is move and then put down a ball. Okay, so I'm going to make another function. Move then ball. Okay, and it's important, you can see I'm naming the functions so that it's easy to understand what happens in them. Okay, and then I'm going to say move and then put down a ball. And then here, instead of those two lines, I just need to write one line, which is move then ball. Okay, and I'm going to copy this over here. And then here also it'll be move then ball, and also over here in our function on top it'll be move then ball. And now I'm going to refactor our code. Okay, reformat, sorry. And you can see that we've already made it much more efficient. Okay, we've cut down a lot of the lines of the code. Okay, so these all on top we have are our functions. And then here on the bottom, we have what Karel is actually doing. Okay? And you can see here that if I wanted to take it even one step further, okay, these three lines and these three lines are the same. Okay? So I can turn those into another function. And if you want to do that, you can try that, but I think you got the point. And, you know, there could have been different ways to structure this code. And if I decided to move Karel in different ways to create these diagonals, maybe I could refactor this code even more. It's really just a matter of, you know, how much time you want to put into it and how much thought you want to put into it. But what I really want you to take away is the different concepts. Okay, how to not repeat yourself using for loops and using functions. and think about how you can implement that in your future code. So thanks for watching. You just learned how to make an X with our new Karel program. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time. So thanks for watching.